everyone. Today we are in very unusual, extraordinary atmosphere. We are having our new tradition, like old new tradition. We're having speaking clubs because previously we had meetings constantly, annually and monthly with our native speakers. Today we have our special guest, our special extraordinary teacher, my role model, my spiritual mom. It's Laura Bohannon. She's our native speaker for today. So kids are going to discuss very important topics, how to live in the US. Laura is going to share her experience from visiting different countries in the US. And we will try to motivate more whether we need to learn English or not, whether it's outstanding international tool or not. So at the end we will make our conclusion and we'll decide to travel or not to travel, to be limited or not to be limited, or to open our horizons. Hopefully everybody after today's session will understand that English is really important by all means, and it's really important to improve our communicative competence, which we're going to do today. And everybody's having like a party, like from Alice, remember, it's the non-birthday day today. So, because why do we celebrate only birthdays? Like the rest of the days are non-birthdays day when we need to be happy as well. So I'm giving the floor to our Laura, and today maybe we're going to discuss bottleneck questions, but you're welcome to ask any questions which are of great interest to you from a different sphere. So hope everybody will enjoy. Who could not make it today, could not join us, please feel free to write us and leave your question in comments. Laura and I, we will be more than happy to answer your questions.
Okay, so most of you know that I've been gone for almost 2 months, right? And so I flew to America. I flew from Kyiv to Paris, France, from Paris, France into Atlanta, Georgia, and then I flew to Sacramento. So Atlanta, Georgia is down here. So this is where I first came. And then I flew all the way to California, and California was my first stop. And everywhere that you see a little black circle is a place that I visited in those weeks. So you can see that I was moving around a lot.
Can you show them? Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay, guys, can you see? Yeah. This black circle, you see? This is where Laura stayed in the US. You know that the country is huge, so even native citizens, like native speakers, not always have a chance to visit every single state and discover state for themselves, because country is filled with mysteries, treasures and sightseeing, special landmarks.
The state here of Texas is a little bit bigger than Ukraine. So you can see that when I was in Texas, I was in 4 different places. Okay, so it's kind of big. So first thing, of course, I had to say goodbye to my husband, and I left Ukraine from Kyiv. Okay, I don't know if you guys can see that. I went through Paris, France, and then Atlanta, Georgia. And then my first stop was in Sacramento, California, and that's where my husband is from. That's where 2 of my children are, and that's where we have a lot of friends. So you can kind of see here, when you look at the whole state, it's kind of a little bit high, right? And I stayed with my friend Teresa and her dog Millie, who liked to join me when I was doing my yoga. Okay?
Who is doing yoga? Are you fond of yoga? Okay, what about any other types of sports?
Cycling.
Cycling, okay. Ulka, you're lazy?
No.
You're not physically challenged? Oh my gosh, kids!
Dancing maybe.
So you're like
Dancing,
bookworms,
yeah.
I should assume. So you're learning all the time English, right? You're scared of Julia, so you're doing homework, yes?
Yes.
And no time for walking, yoga, gymnastics. Seriously? Are you serious?
Yes.
It's very good to create those habits when you're young, so that you do them when you get older, because as you get older, your body needs it.
They will have a camp from the 1st till the 30th of July, where we will practice yoga and many other active stuffs. And yeah, that's where you can start from, because if you do this for the months, if you want to gain something or get rid of something, 1 month, it's a very good period of time to have it as a habit. So if you don't want to eat sweets, which is not about us, of course, so 1 month if you survived in 1 month, the second month you will be okay. Yeah, so we will start doing yoga. Laura, will you teach us?
I don't know if I'm going to teach you yoga. Okay, so first is my home, what I would call my home English-speaking church is called El Camino Baptist Church, and El Camino is Spanish for the way. And so I arrived at 11 o'clock on Thursday evening, and at 9:30 in the morning, well, I didn't go to bed till 1:30 in the morning, but 9:30 in the morning, I was presenting to a bunch of women at a prayer breakfast. So I didn't get a picture of the ladies, but this is the room, okay? And then I did a bunch of other speaking. I taught some Sunday school classes, I spoke in some groups, and this is just this church service there. And I included some pictures of the church so you can see that our churches are very different than your churches here, okay? We do have some Orthodox churches in America, but they're not very common. And all the churches that I went to, because we're a Christian organization, they're very, very different. So there's some very old churches that are probably like 100 years old, and then there's some very modern churches, and some churches that you wouldn't even recognize as a church.
You see, it doesn't look like a church for us.
Yeah.
For us.
And we
I mean,
have drums and guitars and keyboards
You
in
see?
most of the churches. Yeah.
Yeah, because in Ukraine, both an Orthodox and Catholic churches, you can recognize them from far away, right? You can see the building and you can understand, oh, this is the church. Would you ever tell this is the church?
No. Because for us, you know, you guys have pharmacies, aptecos on every corner, right? We have churches, and you have to remember that America was created because people wanted religious freedom. And so for us, it's very important. The building doesn't matter to us. It's not important to us. It's that people come together and that we sing and that we praise God and we learn about Him. And even my church here in Ukraine is more American, yeah, than Ukrainian. Okay, so I also did a food to go, which means kind of like McDonald's almost, except I cooked Ukrainian
Food to go. Sounds funny, yes?
I
So,
cooked,
food to go. You understand?
yeah, so people had to come and pick up their food, and I did Ukrainian food. I did borscht, plov, chalupse, olivier, cucumbers and tomatoes, and we had trubechkas and
What?
blinchiki.
Ah, fantastic.
Yeah,
How did you say?
blinchiki.
No, before that.
Trubechkas.
Uh-huh.
Those are puff pastries. Yeah. I had to buy 200 of those because people loved them. So people would donate money to us, and then they'd come and get the food. And also I did this for a group of pastors, and here's just some pictures. Some of the ladies helped me, and I taught them how to cook Ukrainian food.
Can you see?
And we used the big church kitchen, yeah, because they have lots of events.
Let me show them.
Yeah, I've got 86 slides, so we
Can you
can get
see?
this.
Yes.
Okay. So here the ladies are helping me. I did pumpushki as well. We call that garlic bread.
Garlic, and you took it from Ukraine, the
Yes.
recipe?
Yeah, I
Right.
took all the
Garlic
recipes
bread.
from here, from Ukraine, that I cook.
You mean for borscht? Yes,
Yeah,
garlic bread.
everything. So what we did is we put everything in little containers, and then we put them in bags, and the people would come, and they told us what time they would be there. And so there were several times. So when they would come, we'd give them their bag, and then they would make donations either through the online banking, or they would write a check or give me cash.
So this is for homeless, right?
No, this is for anybody. Our church, anybody could come and do this. So I actually got to see a lot of friends because California is still on lockdown because of the coronavirus. And so I couldn't go visit all those people, but they came to visit me to pick up their food. Yeah, okay. So like here, this is my friend Sister Pat. And then Andrew, he came with me one time to Ukraine back in 2002. Some other friends, he's a pastor, and his wife Lori, who's one of my friends. So I got to see a lot of friends. Some of my Ukrainian friends, the Goshar family, they gave me a car that I could use while I was there, because obviously I don't have a car, so people let me use their car. And so this was a Prius, and I got to drive it all around.
And can I talk about this matter as well? That in Ukraine we are, I think, in comparison to people from the US, we're two-way material. You know, for us, like, why I bought the car, it's something big. I don't know if you know this, right?
Yeah.
Oh, you know, we have 2 cars in the family. So, you know, in America, car, it's like a bicycle for us. Like, you know, you come and the first month you can afford, you can buy the car actually. And it's not it's not super expensive and people don't spend so much money for the car, even though more, I should admit that here we have sometimes in Kyiv you can see more like so luxury cars. You know, in the US maybe you won't see this every day and on every street and on every highway, because the attitude is different. Because the richer the country, the higher hierarchy of needs. The lower level, the lower hierarchy of needs. So I'm trying to consume only, you know, intangible values, which I'm forcing you to do as well. So first try to give your priority and value more time, friendship, your family, knowledge, you know, and then give priority to the car, you know, because car is just a vehicle. You see, Lara came to the US and her friends gave her to use this. She didn't need it. She just needed this for some practical value, not just to show off. Oh, you know, I have BMW for $200,000, you know. So kind of, you understand what I mean? Yeah. So it should be something more. People are more dedicated and engaged there into kind of service, into community service, which is charity. You saw. So food. How do we call this food?
Food to go.
Food
to go. Yeah, food to go. You pack food, you cook, you pack, and people enjoy. You give it away, and you receive often more pleasure from this than someone is giving to you something.
You got to remember that here, your value, everything has to do with money. You know, when you decide what clothes you're going to buy, one of the big factors is money. For Americans, it's about time. Time is much more important to us. So if I have to save 20 minutes instead of going to that store and I have to buy something here that's 5 hryvnia or more, I'm going to buy it for 5 hryvnia or more because it's saving me my time, because my time is much more expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, so our outlook on things in America is very different, but we're also very, very helpful with each other. You know, so everywhere that I went, somebody said, yeah, here's my keys. Let me use the keys. When I asked, can I stay at your house? They were like, yeah, what do you want? You know, they took me out grocery shopping, because when I went there, remember, I'm a missionary. I make $500 a year. $500 a year. Most people here make more than $500 every month. Okay, so when I go there, I don't have any money. I don't have any place to stay. So people have to help me. Okay, but everybody wants to help me, and I have to make my choices of who. Okay.
Yeah, and one more thing for them will be very interesting. How long did you make decision about your outfit today? Yeah, I will tell you.
5 minutes?
5 minutes. I made 2 days. You see the difference? Yeah, which is not good. But my mentality is Ukrainian. You know, I was thinking first, oh my gosh, what am I going to wear? What am I going to wear? Okay, maybe this dress. Okay, maybe. Okay. Oh, this dress looks not so good. Okay, let me open my closet. Okay, I'll make decision tomorrow. I'll come back to this tomorrow. I locked. Yesterday I came again to, okay, this dress maybe will be good match.
Now there's a few women, maybe. I don't know any. She's the only one that I know. For me, for Americans, it's about comfort.
Yes.
Because I'm going to be here overnight and teach classes tomorrow. So my only thinking was, okay, I'm wearing these capris. What other shirt will match with the capris? And can I wear the same earrings for both? And I mean,
so 5 minutes decision, you see, and here like 2 days. And when I'm telling you this because when I was in the US, all people like they were in shock from me. Like, we are going to Harvard.
So
yeah, we are going to Harvard University. Julia, what are you wearing? I was like, dress. It's two-way fancy. I will give you my shorts and t-shirt. I was like, no way I'm wearing shorts and t-shirt. I'm like in Harvard. She's like, whatever. People sit there on the grass. So, you know, it was debate for 2 hours. I was like, I'm not going to wear
We're much more casual.
Yeah, and I will show you my picture. They made me wear the shorts and t-shirt. It's like not this dress. Americans will stare like this and will think you're like crazy. Yeah. So you see the differences? Yes.
So here's a bunch of pastors that come together. They're from different churches and they have lunch together. And so I fed them the Ukrainian food and they asked me to speak about my work here in Ukraine. And so one of the pastors actually has been here to Ukraine, but up in Kyiv. So we got to talk quite a bit. Yeah, he's got a good idea. This is the family that I first lived with when I came here to Ukraine in 2001. It's the Goshar family. And they have been friends forever. I mean, when I first met them, Vlad was very young and Vika, and I saw Sergei being born. Well, they moved to America a couple years ago because their father had some health problems, and unfortunately he died in 2018, broke our heart. But every time that we go back, we spend time with them, you know, and they're like family to us. So we got to meet them, and we talked for, I don't know how long, until like midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, you know. So then I went to their church, and this is my home Ukrainian church in Sacramento, California, because 90% of our immigrants are from the post-Soviet Union. And so...
In Sacramento, yes.
Mm-hmm. So the people you just saw in the last picture, this is the brother and his wife and their father. And so for them, I've known them as long, you know, 20-something years. So it was very good to see them and to talk with them. And I presented there at the Ukrainian church about our work here in Ukraine.
So if about this Sacramento place, what do you think? What about them? Because I know you learned Russian in advance before coming here. Would it be maybe profitable or to know for them that they need to know English and Ukrainian or Russian, and they can teach their Russian or Ukrainian in Sacramento? Are there many places where people are learning Russian there?
Well, at the,
at
the community college, they do teach Russian, because that's where my husband took a class. I know that we had a big situation with a Ukrainian man, and the police realized finally that Russian and Ukrainian is not the same. And so some of the police officers, they were trying to talk to this Ukrainian family in Russian, and they didn't understand. Because they were like, you know, probably from the villages or whatever, that they only knew Ukrainian. And it caused a lot of misunderstandings. But I think there's probably more and more classes there. But if you were to go to, say, like Florida or Missouri and try and take Russian or Ukrainian as a class, as a second language, you couldn't find it. But here in Sacramento you could, because 90% of our immigrants are post-Soviet.
But some Americans would love to learn Russian, right? It's quite popular language in the U.S.
I wouldn't say it's popular. Spanish is probably a little bit more popular.
So learn English, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, English is going to get you everywhere, yeah. So I also, for Cornerstone Slavic Baptist Church, we also know the youth group. And so every year we go there, the youth were like, we want to talk to Mark and Laura. So this time it was just me there. And so we went out and we played volleyball, and I talked with them, and then the girls sat around the table and talked with me more while the guys played volleyball. And this is the young man from the family that I know very well. And he was at work, so he wasn't there when we ate dinner, so I got to see him the next day. And I remember when he was just born, a little baby. Yeah. So then I got to see my youngest daughter, Elizabeth, and her 3 boys and her husband.
Mm-hmm.
And first we met in a park, and then we went back to their house and we sat around the fire in the backyard. They have a fire pit, and we just sat around and talked. Then I got to see my son and his wife and 2 of his girls, because his 3rd daughter, the oldest daughter, is actually, they're in California. She lives out here. She's in the Air Force. Okay, and I got to see her later on. So this is my son. He's probably this much taller than me. Yeah. Yeah, my ring is a size 5. His is a ring 14. So his ring is like this. I mean, he's a big boy. I feel very small next to him. And his daughters are getting pretty big. Yeah. So then I flew to Houston, Texas, down here, all the way from here to here. And Houston is where my oldest daughter lives with her husband, so you can kind of see. And I went into Texas in several places. I had to fly because some of them were far apart.
There were some differences in climate, in the weather. Could you tell us? So from California to Houston?
California was actually kind of cold, and we got rain, and everybody talked about it because we usually only get rain during the winter. We get about 1 week of rain in California. So it rained while I was there, and that was like the hot topic. It was like, oh, it rained! You know, down in Texas, they had snow during the winter, and they never have snow. They had probably about this much snow. So when I went down there, my grandsons were talking to me about it. They got to see snow. But down in Houston, Texas, it's very humid, which means it's very wet air, and it's very hot. Yeah. So I had to buy some sandals there because I realized I forgot sandals Yeah, so I wore shorts and capris when I was down there.
And in California, in San Francisco, when I was the other year in the summer, we could not swim because the ocean was very cold.
Extremely cold in
Like
California.
icy cold, I don't know.
First time
In August. It
I
was
went
in
to
August.
California and I went to the beach. I went running in the water. I came screaming out. I could not believe how cold it was.
Seriously, in the summer.
Yeah, in the summer. It's really cold. Okay, so this is flying into Houston. Houston is a really, really big city. It's kind of like Kyiv, maybe a little bit bigger than Kyiv. And I got in really late, almost midnight. So I just stayed at a hotel right there at the airport. My daughter has had surgery on her eyes, and so she cannot drive when it's dark outside. So she came and got me the next day. And so in the hotel room, because of COVID and the virus, they don't have a lot of business. So everybody who gets a hotel room, they give you the best suite. So I got a separate bedroom from a living room, and I took pictures of it because I think, other than Hawaii, this is the best hotel room I've ever been in. It was like, I was sad I was only there for a couple hours to sleep.
Everybody understands what is suite? Yeah, it's like luxury room. Yeah.
So my daughter's husband is very good at barbecue, so he barbecued. And here, you have a few places where you can buy beef.
Oh, where? Can you tell us?
Mr. and Mrs. Meat, they do a good steak. It's very hard here.
You in the city, yes.
Huh?
You
Do you?
Yeah, and Americans love steaks, right?
We eat a lot of beef. And most of your beef here is like old milk cows. It's not good beef. In America, we know how to grow our meat. I mean, when I first came here,
likes meat.
and I looked at the cows, I thought you starved your cows because your cows were so skinny here. You could see all their bones. Because I was used to beef cattle, which means a cow that you do just for meat, and they're big, much, much bigger. My grandfather had them, you know, so of course, as soon as I go back to America, I ate a lot of steak and some beef hamburgers while I was there, yeah.
May I just, do you have some calves and cows at home?
I don't. My sister and her husband used to have them, but they don't now.
Here
but
in Komutinci?
no, I don't have a cow right now.
But you have pigs, right?
Yeah, I have 9 pigs, I have 20 rabbits, I have, I don't know how many chickens, turkey ducks, and geese.
So basically, who is coming 4th of July, taking part in the camp, you are going to join to our trip to Khmutinci village, where Stepan Rudansky was born. I believe you will discover the village first, because you've never been there before. And secondly, we're invited for barbecue, American barbecue party with Lara and Mark.
Yeah, so we'll do some American games and things like that.
Yeah.
So we went to a local park and we were looking at all the different birds. They had parrots and all sorts of things like that with my grandsons. And this is my daughter's oldest son, and he played football.
Soccer or football you call it?
Football.
Yeah, soccer is British.
Yeah. If you talk to me about football, this is what I think about football.
So you see, I asked Lara, soccer? No.
No. So he was playing a football game on here, so he and I love football, so we sat and we talked about all the different players and those kind of things. But he's probably 2 meters plus tall. He's probably, I don't know what you would say, 300 pounds. It would probably be
A little bit less.
150 to 200 kilograms. I mean, because he's a defensive player. I mean, he's big. He's a big boy. That's the Bohannon family, yeah. I'm very proud of him. He did really good. He was showing me some films of him playing, and I was like, oh, that's my grandson. Yeah. Okay, so my youngest grandson, Shelton, he came to the hotel with me, and he spent the night with me. And so we had ice cream, and we watched a show on TV.
He's also a big boy.
Yeah, and he is 6 years, yeah, 6. I think he's getting ready to turn 7 years old, Shelton,
Seriously?
yeah.
Okay.
So the Bohannon family is big